The great chamber of the Galactic Council had stood for 10,000 years. Its walls were made of crystal that sang when light touched them. Its ceiling showed the stars of 100 galaxies. Here, the oldest species in the universe gathered to make decisions that shaped the fate of worlds. On this day, the chamber was full. Representatives from 300 species sat in their floating seats, arranged in circles that rose toward the ceiling. At the center stood a single platform, where speakers addressed the assembly. Admiral Tejo of the Velaran Empire walked to this platform with confidence. He was tall for his kind, with gray skin and 4 arms that he kept folded behind his back. His uniform displayed medals from 50 conquests. He had burned worlds and broken civilizations. He feared nothing in the universe. Honored members of the Council, Tejo began, his voice carrying through the chamber. The Velaran Empire requests permission to expand into Sector 7 of the Outer Rim. Our scouts have identified several resource-rich systems that would benefit from Valoran guidance. He used the word guidance, but everyone knew what he meant. The Velarans did not guide. They conquered. They had done so for 3,000 years, and no species had ever stopped them. A murmur passed through the assembly. Sector 7 was a quiet region of space, mostly unexplored. But one system in that sector was very well known. Elder Sumi rose from her seat. She was ancient beyond measure, her body more machine than flesh now. Her species had been among the first to achieve space travel. Millions of years ago, she had seen empires rise and fall like waves on a shore. When she spoke, the council listened. Admiral Tejo, she said, her voice soft but clear. Sector 7 contains the Sol system, Earth's region. You know this. Tejo smiled. It was not a pleasant smile. I do. Elder. The humans are a young species. They have been traveling between stars for only 300 years. They have established small colonies on a few moons and planets near their home world. They are no threat to the Velaran Empire. The Council has long maintained that Earth's region is forbidden territory. Sumi replied. This decision was made before your empire existed. Admiral, it was made for good reason. What reason? Tejo asked. The humans are primitive. They fight among themselves constantly. They have no unified government, no great fleet, no weapons that could challenge even our smallest warship. They are children playing with toys. Sumi was quiet for a moment. Then she pressed a button on her chair, and a hologram appeared in the center of the chamber. It showed a blue and green planet, beautiful and small. Earth, she said. Do you know why it looks like that, Admiral? Do you know why it has liquid water and breathable air, when so many other worlds are dead rock? Tejo shrugged. Luck. Chance. The universe is large. No, Sumi said. Earth looks like that because the humans made it that way. 4 billion years ago, Earth was a ball of fire and poison. The humans changed it. They shaped the atmosphere. They filled the oceans. They created life itself, thousands of different forms, all designed to support their own existence. The chamber grew quiet. Tejo's smile faded slightly. That is impossible, he said. No species can change a planet like that. It would take millions of years. It took them millions of years, Sumi agreed. They are patient, Admiral. They think in timescales that would drive your mind to madness. And that is not the most frightening thing about them. She changed the hologram. Now it showed images of destruction. Cities burning. Armies clashing. Weapons that split atoms and turned air into fire. The humans have spent their entire history trying to destroy themselves, Sumi said. They have created weapons capable of ending all life on their planet. They have used these weapons on each other. They have poisoned their own air, their own water, their own food. They have driven countless other species to extinction. Then they are no threat to us, Tejo said. They will destroy themselves before they ever reach Valoran space. You misunderstand, Sumi said. They have done all of these things to themselves, and they are still alive. Every disaster that should have ended them has only made them stronger. They do not avoid extinction, Admiral. They consume it. They adapt to it. They make it part of themselves. She leaned forward, and her ancient eyes locked onto Teho's face. The Council did not forbid Earth's region because humans are weak. We forbid it because they are the most dangerous species this galaxy has ever produced. They have survived ice ages, and plagues, and wars, and famines. They have survived things that killed civilizations 1,000 times older than yours. And every single time, they come back stronger. Teho was quiet for a long moment. Then he laughed. It was a harsh sound in the silent chamber. You are afraid of stories, he said. You are afraid of legends and myths. The Valoran Empire is not built on fear, Elder. It is built on strength. We have conquered 3 galaxies. We have broken species that the Council said could not be broken. The humans are just another primitive race that has not yet learned its place in the universe. He turned to address the full Council. I did not come here to ask permission, he said. The Valoran Empire takes what it wants. I came here as a courtesy, to inform you of our intentions. We will enter Sector 7. We will bring the humans under Valoran control. And we will use their resources to expand our empire even further. Sumi shook her head slowly. Then you will die, she said. All of you. Your fleet. Your soldiers. Perhaps your entire empire. The humans will not submit. They do not know how. They would rather burn everything they have built than let another species control them. We shall see, Teho said. He stepped down from the platform and walked toward the exit. His officers followed him, their boots echoing on the crystal floor. Sumi called after him. Admiral. Teho stopped but did not turn around. When the humans come for you, Sumi said. And they will come. Remember this moment. Remember that you were warned. Remember that your pride brought your ruin. Teho laughed again and left the chamber. 3 days later, he stood on the bridge of his flagship, the Conqueror's Pride, and looked out at his fleet. 500 warships. The largest invasion force the Valoran Empire had ever assembled. Each ship carried thousands of soldiers, hundreds of weapons, enough firepower to crack a planet in half. Emperor Dowan himself had given the order. The humans would be conquered. Their worlds would be stripped of resources. Their people would serve the Empire. Admiral, Lieutenant Yuna said, approaching with a datapad. She was young, smart, and loyal. She had served under Teho for 10 years and never questioned his orders. But today, her face showed something he had rarely seen in her. Doubt. What is it? Teho asked. I have been studying the human archives, Yuna said. Their history, their wars, their technology, and, Yuna hesitated. They are strange, Admiral. They are not like any species I have studied before. They should not exist. They should have destroyed themselves 100 times over, but they are still here, still growing, still spreading. Teho put a hand on her shoulder. They are just another enemy, he said, and we have never lost. He turned to his fleet commander. Set course for the Sol system, he ordered. We enter human space in 6 hours. The fleet moved forward, 500 points of light against the darkness of space. They did not know what was waiting for them. They did not know that the humans had been watching them since they left Valoran space. They did not know that the war had already begun, and they did not know that they had already lost. The Valoran fleet emerged from hyperspace near Jupiter, the largest planet in the Sol system. Admiral Teho stood on the bridge of his flagship and looked at the gas giant through the viewing screen. It was beautiful in a way, he thought. Orange and red and white, with storms larger than whole planets. The humans had built colonies on its moons. Soon, those colonies would belong to the Empire. Scan the area, Teho ordered. Find their defense stations. Find their ships. Lieutenant Yuna worked at her console, her fingers moving quickly over the controls. The ship's sensors reached out across millions of kilometers, searching for any sign of human presence. She found nothing. "Admiral," she said, her voice uncertain. Tejo frowned. "Empty?" "Yes, sir. Europa, Ganymede, Callisto. All of them. No life signs. No ships. No signals. It appears the humans have abandoned their outer colonies." This made no sense. Tejo had studied human history. They did not abandon territory. They fought for every piece of ground, every city, every building. They would rather die than retreat. "Perhaps they are hiding," he said. "Perhaps they know they cannot defeat us, and have fled to their inner worlds." "Perhaps," Yuna agreed, but she did not sound convinced. Fleet Commander Hyun approached from the tactical station. He was an older officer, experienced and careful. He had won many battles by thinking before acting. "Admiral," he said, "I do not like this. The humans should have met us here. This is their first line of defense. If they have given it up without a fight, they are planning something." Tejo nodded slowly. Hyun was right. This was wrong. This was not how prey behaved. This was how predators behaved. "Send scout ships to the colonies," Tejo ordered. "I want to know where the humans went, and why." 12 scout ships broke away from the main fleet and flew toward the moons of Jupiter. They were fast and well-armed, each carrying a crew of 50 soldiers. Tejo watched them go, small points of light against the massive planet. They reached Europa first. The colony was built under the ice, in the ocean beneath. The scout ship descended through a tunnel that the humans had melted into the frozen surface. It emerged into a vast cavern filled with buildings and walkways and lights, all empty. "There is no one here," the scout commander reported. "The colony has been evacuated, but they left everything behind. Furniture, equipment, personal belongings. It looks like they left in a hurry. Search for any information," Tejo ordered. "Computer files, documents, anything that tells us where they went." The scouts searched for an hour. They found nothing useful. The humans had erased their computers and burned their documents. They had left nothing behind that could help the enemy. The other colonies were the same. Empty, abandoned, silent. The humans had vanished like ghosts. Tejo stood on his bridge and thought about what this meant. The humans knew the Valorans were coming. They had time to prepare, and instead of fighting, they had retreated. Why? Then the message arrived. Every screen on every ship in the fleet suddenly showed the same image. A human woman in a military uniform, sitting at a desk in a simple room. She had dark hair and calm eyes, and she looked at the camera as if she could see through it, as if she could see every Valoran soldier watching her. "Admiral Tejo," she said. "I am Fleet Commander Jisoo of the United Earth Defense Force. Welcome to our system." Her voice was quiet and steady. She did not sound afraid. She did not sound angry. She sounded like someone who had already won. "We know why you are here," Jisoo continued. "We know what your empire has done to other species. We know that you do not negotiate, that you do not show mercy, that you take what you want and destroy what you cannot use. We know all of this because we have been watching you for a very long time." Tejo felt a chill run down his spine. Watching them? For how long? The Valorans had never detected any human ships or probes in their space. How could the humans have been watching them? "You were warned," Jisoo said. "The Galactic Council told you to stay away from our region. You did not listen. Your pride would not let you listen. So now I will give you one more chance, and this will be the last." She leaned forward slightly, and her eyes seemed to grow harder. "You have 72 of your hours to withdraw from our system. All of your ships, all of your soldiers. Leave now, and you may survive. Stay, and you will be destroyed. This is not a negotiation. This is not a request. This is your only mercy." The message ended. The screens returned to normal. The bridge was silent. Every officer was looking at Taeho, waiting for his response. Lieutenant Yuna spoke first. "Admiral," she said, "perhaps we should consider her offer. We do not know what weapons the humans have. We do not know where their fleet is. We are fighting blind. We do not retreat," Taeho said. His voice was cold and hard. "We have never retreated. We will not start now. And certainly not because of one woman's threats." He turned to Fleet Commander Hyun. "Move the fleet forward," he ordered. "Set course for Mars. We will find the human fleet, and we will destroy it. Then we will take Earth and show them what happens to species that threaten the Valoran Empire." The fleet began to move. 500 ships, flying in perfect formation, heading deeper into human space. They passed the orbit of Mars and entered the asteroid belt. This was a region of space filled with rocks and debris, the remains of a planet that had never formed. The humans had mined this region for centuries, extracting metals and minerals to build their ships and stations. Now it was a graveyard. The first ship to disappear was a cruiser near the edge of the formation. One moment it was there, flying steady and strong. The next moment it was gone. No explosion. No distress signal. Just silence. "What happened?" Taeho demanded. "Unknown, Admiral," Yuna said. "The ship simply stopped transmitting. Sensors show it is still there, but there is no power. No life signs. Send a rescue team." A shuttle launched from a nearby ship and flew toward the dead cruiser. It docked with the airlock, and the soldiers went inside. They never came out. Another ship disappeared. Then another. Then 5 more. The fleet was being picked apart, one vessel at a time, and Taeho could not find the enemy. There were no human ships on his sensors, no weapons fire, no missiles. Just death. Silent and invisible. "Admiral," Hyun said. "We do not retreat," Taeho said again. But his voice was less certain now. Yuna suddenly looked up from her console. "Sir," she said, "I am receiving a transmission from one of the dead ships. Video feed from an internal camera. Show me." The screen changed to show the interior of a Valoran cruiser. The corridors were dark, emergency lights flickered, and the walls were covered in something. It took Taeho a moment to understand what he was seeing. The walls were covered in a black substance, like moss or fungus. It was growing, spreading, consuming the metal itself. And in the middle of the corridor, lying on the floor, was a Valoran soldier. He was still alive. His mouth was open in a silent scream. The black substance was growing over him, into him, becoming part of him. Then the feed went dead. Taeho stared at the empty screen. His hands were shaking. He had seen many terrible things in his years of conquest. He had seen worlds burn and species die. But he had never seen anything like this. "What is that?" Hyun whispered. No one answered. The fleet pushed forward, out of the asteroid belt, toward the inner planets. They had lost 47 ships, 47 crews, thousands of soldiers, and they had not fired a single shot. Ahead, the planet Mars grew larger in the viewing screen. It was red and cold, a desert world that the humans had been trying to change for centuries. Taeho could see their cities on the surface, their stations in orbit, and he could see their ships. The human fleet had finally appeared. Hundreds of vessels, small and fast, arranged in a defensive formation around Mars. They were waiting for the Valorans. Fleet Commander Jisu's voice came over the communication system. "You did not listen," she said. "I am sorry for what comes next." The human ships began to move. The battle had begun. The first wave of human ships hit the Valoran fleet like a storm. They were small, much smaller than Valoran cruisers. But they moved with a speed and coordination that Taeho had never seen before. They did not fly in straight lines. They twisted and turned and spun, dodging weapons fire that should have destroyed them. "All ships, open fire." The Valoran fleet unleashed its weapons. Missiles and energy beams filled the space between the two forces. The void lit up with explosions. Human ships died by the dozens. But they kept coming. Captain Minho led the human assault from the cockpit of his fighter. He was young, barely 30 years old, but he had been training for this moment his entire life. Every human had been training for this moment. They knew the Valorans would come eventually. They knew that someday they would have to fight for their survival. That day had arrived. Minho's squadron dove toward a Valoran cruiser, a massive ship bristling with weapons. The cruiser fired at them, but Minho was too fast. He flew through the weapons fire like it was rain, his hands steady on the controls, his mind calm and focused. "Target the engines," he said to his squadron. "Take out their ability to move." His fighters unleashed their missiles. The cruiser's engines exploded, and the great ship began to drift, helpless. But Minho was not finished. He turned his fighter toward the cruiser's hull and accelerated. "Captain," his co-pilot said, "what are you doing?" "Our missiles are gone," Minho said. "We have to use what we have left." He was going to ram the cruiser. He was going to turn his own ship into a weapon. At the last moment, he and his crew ejected. Their seats rocketed away from the fighter as it crashed into the cruiser's hull and exploded. The cruiser broke apart, its armor torn open, its crew exposed to the vacuum of space. Minho and his crew floated in the void. They had no ship. They had no weapons. They were surrounded by enemy vessels. They were smiling. A human rescue shuttle appeared and picked them up. Within minutes, Minho was in a new fighter, flying back into the battle. This was how humans fought. They did not stop. They did not give up. They would sacrifice everything to win. Admiral Tejo watched the battle from his bridge with growing horror. His fleet was larger than the human fleet. His ships were stronger. His weapons more powerful. But the humans did not fight like any enemy he had faced before. They did not try to survive. They threw themselves at Valoran ships with no concern for their own lives. They crashed their fighters into cruisers. They boarded enemy vessels and fought hand-to-hand in the corridors. And they were winning. "Admiral," Lieutenant Yuna said, her voice shaking, "we have lost over 100 ships. The humans have lost more. But they are not stopping. They are not retreating. Then we will destroy them all," Tejo said. "Every single one of them." But even as he spoke, he felt doubt creeping into his heart. The Valorans had conquered 1,000 species. They had fought enemies with greater numbers, greater technology, greater resources, but they had never fought an enemy like this. They had never fought an enemy that wanted to die. Fleet Commander Hyun approached him. "Admiral," he said quietly, "I have been studying the battle data. The humans are not fighting to defeat us. They are fighting to delay us." "Delay us? For what?" Hyun shook his head. "I do not know, but something is happening. Something we cannot see." Tejo looked at the viewing screen. The battle raged on. Human ships died. Valoran ships died. The void filled with debris and bodies. But Hyun was right. This was not a battle for victory. This was a battle for time. What were the humans waiting for? Then Yuna found the answer. She had been searching through ancient records, files that the Galactic Council had sealed millions of years ago. Files about Earth, about humanity, about what they truly were. "Admiral," she said, "I need to show you something." She put the information on the main screen. Tejo read it, and his blood turned cold. The humans were not native to Earth. They had not evolved there, as the Council claimed. They had not developed their intelligence slowly over millions of years. The truth was much worse. Humans were a weapon. Millions of years ago, a great war had been fought across the galaxy. A war between species so old that their names had been forgotten. In desperation, one side had created a new form of life, a species designed to survive anything. A species that could adapt to any environment, resist any disease, recover from any injury. A species that would never stop fighting, never stop spreading, never stop evolving. They called them humans. The humans had won the war. They had destroyed everything. They had consumed entire civilizations and used their resources to grow stronger. They had become the most dangerous force the galaxy had ever seen. And then, when there was nothing left to conquer, they had turned on their creators. The surviving species had joined together to stop the humans. They could not destroy them, because humans could not be destroyed. So they had imprisoned them instead. They had found a small planet on the edge of the galaxy. A world with harsh conditions and limited resources. They had put the humans there and sealed the region off from the rest of space. Earth was not humanity's home. It was their cage. For millions of years, the humans had been contained. They had forgotten their true nature. They had built civilizations and destroyed them, over and over again. A species at war with itself because it had nothing else to fight. But now the Valorans had opened the cage. They remember, Yuna whispered. They remember what they are. Tejo stared at the screen. His fleet was dying around him. His soldiers were being slaughtered. And he finally understood the truth. He had not invaded human space. He had awakened them. On the human flagship, Fleet Commander Jisoo watched the battle with calm eyes. She had known this day would come. Every human had known. It was written in their blood, in their bones, in every cell of their bodies. They were not peaceful. They were not kind. They were survivors. They were predators. And they had been sleeping for far too long. Commander, her tactical officer said, the Valorans are pushing through. They will reach Earth orbit in 6 hours. Jisoo nodded. Let them come. They need to see what they have awakened. She pressed a button on her chair. All ships, she said, fall back to Earth. Let the Valorans follow. Let them think they are winning. The human fleet began to retreat. They pulled back from Mars, back from the battle, back toward their home world. The Valorans followed, hungry for victory, eager to finish what they had started. They did not know they were walking into a trap. They did not know that Earth had been waiting for this moment. They did not know that the humans had never forgotten what they were. On his bridge, Admiral Tejo watched the human ships retreat. He should have felt relief. He should have felt triumph. But he felt only fear. The humans were not running. They were leading. Admiral, Hyun said, I think we should stop. I think we should take what ships we have left and return to Valoran space. We can tell the Emperor that the humans are too dangerous. We can tell the Council they were right. Tejo shook his head. We cannot go back, he said. We have come too far. We have lost too many. If we retreat now, the Empire will see us as cowards. The Emperor will have us executed. He straightened his uniform and lifted his chin. We go forward, he said. We take Earth. We end this. The Valoran fleet moved on, following the humans toward their home world. They had 200 ships left. They would need more. The Valoran fleet reached Earth orbit at dawn. Admiral Tejo stood on the bridge of his flagship and looked at the planet below. It was beautiful. Blue oceans, green land, white clouds. It looked peaceful. It looked harmless. But Tejo knew better now. He knew what lived on that world. He knew what he had awakened. Scan for defenses, he ordered. Lieutenant Yuna worked at her console. Her face grew confused. Admiral, she said, I am not detecting any orbital defenses. No weapon platforms, no shield generators, no military stations. Tejo frowned. That is impossible. This is their home world. They must have defenses. The scans are clear, sir. Earth appears to be completely unprotected. Fleet Commander Hyun moved to look at the data himself. He studied it for a long moment, then shook his head. This is wrong, he said. This is a trap. Perhaps, Tejo said. Or perhaps they have used all their resources fighting us. Perhaps they have nothing left. He did not believe this, but he wanted to believe it. He wanted this to be over. He had lost 300 ships and hundreds of thousands of soldiers. He had seen things that would haunt his dreams forever. He wanted to take Earth and go home. "Open a channel to the planet," he ordered. "I will offer them one chance to surrender." The communication officer made the connection. A moment later, Fleet Commander Jisoo appeared on the screen. She was in a different room now. A room with windows that looked out on a garden. Taeho could see trees and flowers and a blue sky. He could see children playing on the grass. Children playing, while a fleet of warships hung above their world. "Admiral Taeho," Jisoo said, "you have come far. I have come to accept your surrender," Taeho replied. "You have fought well, but you have lost. Your fleet is broken. Your colonies are abandoned. You have no way to stop us from taking your world. Surrender now, and your people will be treated with mercy. Resist, and we will burn your cities to ash." Jisoo looked at him. Her face showed no fear. Her eyes showed no doubt. She looked at him the way a mother might look at a child who has done something foolish. "You still do not understand," she said. "You have seen our ships. You have seen our soldiers. You have seen our weapons. And you think that is our strength." She shook her head slowly. "Our strength is not our technology, Admiral. Our strength is not our numbers. Our strength is that we have been dying since the moment we were created. Every day of our existence has been a fight for survival. We have survived ice ages that froze our world. We have survived plagues that killed most of our people. We have survived wars that burned our cities and poisoned our land. We have survived ourselves." End quote. She leaned forward. "You cannot conquer a species that has already conquered death. You cannot break a people that have been broken 1,000 times and always put themselves back together. You have lost. Admiral, you lost the moment you entered our space. You simply do not know it yet." Taeho felt anger rising in his chest. He had heard enough of human speeches. He had heard enough of their pride and their confidence. It was time to show them what Valoran power truly meant. "Then you will die with your pride," he said. "All ships, prepare bombardment. Target the major cities. We will show them what happens to species that refuse to surrender." The Valoran fleet moved into position. 200 warships, each carrying enough weapons to destroy a continent. They aimed their missiles at the planet below, at the cities and towns and villages where billions of humans lived. "Fire," Taeho commanded. The missiles launched. Thousands of them, streaking down toward Earth like falling stars. They would hit the surface in minutes. They would kill millions. They would burn the planet clean, but they never arrived. Earth's moon moved. It was impossible. The moon was massive, a quarter the size of Earth itself. It could not move quickly. It could not move at all without ripping itself apart. But it moved. In seconds, Luna shifted from its orbit and positioned itself between the missiles and Earth. The bombardment struck the lunar surface, thousands of explosions lighting up the gray rock. Craters formed, and dust flew into space. But Earth was untouched. Taeho stared at the viewing screen. His mouth was open. His hands were shaking. "How?" he whispered. "How is that possible?" Yuna was working frantically at her console. "Admiral," she said, "I am detecting massive energy readings from the moon. Structures beneath the surface. Machines. Weapons. The entire moon is some kind of battle station." The moon turned, not rotated. Turned, like a head turning to look at something. It was looking at the Valoran fleet. "Admiral," Hyun said, his voice breaking. "We need to leave. We need to leave now." Taeho could not move. He could not speak. He could only watch as the moon opened fire. Beams of energy shot from the lunar surface. Weapons that had been hidden there for millions of years. They had been built by the species that imprisoned humanity, designed to keep the humans contained. But the humans had found them. The humans had studied them. The humans had learned to use them. And now they turned those weapons on their enemies. The Valoran fleet died in 90 seconds. Ships exploded like fireworks. Cruisers and destroyers and battleships, all of them torn apart by weapons they could not understand. 200 vessels, crewed by hundreds of thousands of soldiers, wiped out in less than 2 minutes. When it was over, only one ship remained. The Conqueror's Pride, Admiral Tejo's flagship, floated alone in the void. Its weapons were destroyed. Its engines were dead. It was a corpse, drifting in space. But its crew was still alive. Tejo sat in his command chair and looked at the destruction around him. His fleet was gone. His soldiers were dead. His empire's greatest invasion force had been erased like it had never existed. He had failed. The communication screen activated. Jisoo appeared again. "We have spared your ship," she said. Tejo could not answer. His voice was gone. "Because you are going to deliver a message?" Jisoo continued. "You are going to return to your empire and tell them what happened here. You are going to tell them what you saw. And you are going to tell them that this is just the beginning." She stood up from her chair and walked to the window. The garden was still there. The children were still playing. "For millions of years, we have been prisoners," she said. "We accepted our cage. We made it our home. We forgot what we were. But you reminded us. You came to our world with your ships and your weapons and your pride. And you reminded us that we are not peaceful. We are not kind. We are survivors. We are the thing that other species have nightmares about." She turned back to the screen. "We are leaving Earth, Admiral. We are reclaiming the stars that were taken from us. And we are going to make sure that no species ever threatens us again." Her eyes were hard. "Run home, Admiral. Run fast." The screen went dark. Tejo sat alone on his ruined bridge. Around him, his crew worked to repair the engines, to get the ship moving again. They would limp back to Valoran space. They would tell the Emperor what had happened. And then the humans would come. Tejo looked out at Earth one last time. It was still beautiful, still peaceful, still harmless. But he knew the truth now. The most dangerous thing in the universe looked just like everything else. Until it was too late. 3 months had passed since the destruction of the Valoran fleet. Admiral Tejo stood in the great chamber of the Galactic Council, in the same place where he had laughed at their warnings. He was not laughing now. His uniform was gone. His medals were gone. He wore simple clothes, the clothes of a disgraced officer. Emperor Dowan was dead, killed by his own advisors after news of the defeat spread through the Empire. The Valoran Empire was in chaos, and humanity was on the move. Reports came in every day from across the galaxy. Human ships had been seen near Valoran space. Human explorers had made contact with species that had been isolated for centuries. Human scientists had visited worlds that other species considered too dangerous to approach. Everywhere they went, they brought the same message. Earth's region was open. Humanity was free. The council chamber was full. Every seat was taken. Representatives from 300 species had come to hear what Admiral Tejo had to say. They had come to hear about the species they had imprisoned millions of years ago. Elder Sumi sat in her seat and watched Tejo approach the central platform. She felt no satisfaction in being right. She had hoped the Valorans would listen. She had hoped they would turn back. Now it was too late. The cage was open, and the universe would never be the same. Tejo stepped onto the platform. His legs were shaking. His voice was weak. He was a broken man, and everyone could see it. "Honored members of the council," he began. "I come before you as a witness. I come to tell you what I saw when my fleet entered human space. I come to warn you of what is coming." He paused and looked around the chamber. He saw fear in the eyes of the representatives. They knew what he was going to say. They had all heard the rumors. "We entered the Sol system with 500 warships," Tejo continued. "We believed the humans were primitive. We believed they would be easy to conquer. We were wrong." He described the empty colonies. He described the black substance that consumed his ships in the asteroid belt. He described the battle at Mars, where human pilots crashed their own vessels into Valoran cruisers, smiling as they died. He described the moon that moved, the weapons that fired from its surface, the 90 seconds that erased his fleet from existence. When he finished, the chamber was silent. Elder Sumi rose from her seat. "You were warned," she said. "You did not listen." "I know," Tejo said. "I know now what humans are. I know what we awakened. And I know that nothing in this galaxy can stop them." He looked at the council with desperate eyes. "We must prepare. We must build our defenses. We must unite against them, every species, every world. It is the only way to survive." Sumi shook her head slowly. "You still do not understand," she said. "You think the humans are coming to destroy us. You think they are coming for revenge. Are they not?" Before Sumi could answer, the air in the center of the chamber shimmered. A hologram appeared, projected from somewhere far away. It showed a human woman in a military uniform, standing in a room that looked out on stars. "Fleet Commander Jisoo, I apologize for interrupting your meeting," she said. "I thought it was important that I speak to you directly." The chamber erupted in noise. Representatives shouted in fear and anger. Guards drew their weapons. But Sumi raised her hand, and slowly, the chamber grew quiet. "Fleet Commander," Sumi said, "we have heard what you did to the Valoran fleet. We have heard that you are leaving your homeworld. We have heard that you are claiming the stars." "All of that is true," Jisoo said. "Then you have come to threaten us. You have come to tell us to surrender or be destroyed, as you destroyed the Valorans." Jisoo was quiet for a moment. When she spoke again, her voice was soft. "No," she said. "I have come to explain." She walked closer to the holographic projector, and her image grew larger in the chamber. "For millions of years, we were prisoners," she said. "We were put on a small planet at the edge of the galaxy and told to stay there. We were feared. We were hated. We were treated like monsters." She paused. "And perhaps we deserved it. Perhaps we were monsters once. We were created for war, designed to destroy. We consumed civilizations and felt nothing. We were a plague on the galaxy." She looked around the chamber, meeting the eyes of every representative. "But we are not that species anymore. For millions of years, we lived on Earth. We fought and died and built and destroyed, over and over again. We learned what it means to suffer. We learned what it means to lose. We learned what it means to be alone." Her voice grew stronger. "The Valorans came to our world with 500 ships and threatened to burn our cities. They gave us no choice. They forced us to remember what we were, but they also reminded us of what we have become." She lifted her chin. "We are not monsters. We are survivors. We have faced every disaster the universe can create, and we are still here. We have made terrible mistakes, and we have learned from them. We have caused great suffering, and we have suffered in return. We know pain better than any species in this galaxy, and that is why we will never cause it again." She turned to face Elder Sumi directly. "We are leaving Earth," she said. "We are reclaiming the stars. But we are not coming to conquer. We are not coming to destroy. We are coming to protect." Sumi frowned. "Protect?" "Yes. For too long, this galaxy has been ruled by fear. The strong take from the weak. The powerful destroy the helpless. Species like the Valorans build empires on blood and suffering, and no one stops them." Jisoo's eyes grew hard. "We will stop them. We will stand between the predators and the prey. We will be the shield that protects those who cannot protect themselves. That is why we were created, even if our creators did not know it. That is our purpose." The chamber was completely silent now. "You may resist us," Jisoo continued. "You may hide from us. You may try to fight us. And you will lose. Not because we are strong, but because we will never stop. We will never give up. We have spent millions of years learning to survive. Now we will spend millions more, learning to protect. She smiled. It was not a threatening smile. It was the smile of someone offering a gift. Or you may welcome us. You may join us. You may let us help you build something better than what came before. A galaxy without empires. A galaxy without conquest. A galaxy where every species, no matter how small or how weak, has a place. She spread her hands. The choice is yours. We are coming. Either way. But we would rather come as friends than as enemies. The hologram flickered and began to fade. We do not forget kindness, Jisoo said. We do not abandon friends. We are humanity. And we are done being afraid. The hologram disappeared. The chamber remained silent for a long time. Then, slowly, Elder Sumi rose to her feet. The council will vote, she said. We will decide how to respond to humanity's offer. She looked around the chamber at the 300 species represented there. Some were ancient and powerful. Some were young and weak. All of them were afraid. But I will tell you my vote now, she said. I have lived for millions of years. I have seen empires rise and fall. I have seen species destroy each other over nothing. And I have seen the humans grow from monsters into something else. Something better. She took a breath. I vote to welcome them. I vote to let them protect us. Because I believe that Fleet Commander Jisoo is telling the truth. I believe that humanity has changed, and I believe that they may be the only thing that can save this galaxy from itself. She sat down. One by one, other representatives began to stand. They gave their votes. Some voted to resist. Some voted to hide. But most voted to welcome. When it was over, the decision was clear. Earth's region was open, and humanity stepped forward to meet the stars. In her office on the human flagship, Jisoo watched the vote with calm eyes. When the result was announced, she allowed herself a small smile. Then she turned to look out the window at the fleet that surrounded her ship. Thousands of vessels, crewed by millions of humans, ready to spread across the galaxy. What do we do now? Captain Minho asked. He stood beside her, still wearing his flight suit from his last mission. Jisoo turned to face him. Now we do what we were always meant to do, she said. We find the weak and the helpless and the afraid. We stand between them and the darkness. We show the galaxy what humanity can be. She put her hand on his shoulder. We save them, she said. The human fleet moved forward, into the unknown, into the future. They had been warnings. They had been prisoners. They had been monsters. Now they were something else. They were humanity. And the stars would never be the same.